So solving rational equations part 2. These ones you're going to have to add and then cross multiply. So just like we were adding last week, I'm going to multiply across the bottom. So that would be 2x. And then I multiply across. So 2 times x goes on the bottom. 2 times 12 is 24. And x times x is x squared. So across the top would be x squared plus 24 equals 5. So once it's set up like this, then you're going to do the steps like we did yesterday. So then you will make sure to put this over 1 and then cross multiply. So it would be 1 times x squared plus 24, so x squared plus 24. Bring down the equal sign. 5 times 2x, 5 times 2 is 10, and then x. So now if you look at this problem, since it has an x squared in it because we multiplied x times x, this is now a quadratic. It's not like the ones yesterday where you could just get x by itself. So when you solve a quadratic, and you should probably write this note to remind yourself, when solving quadratic, set equal to 0. So in order to get this set equal to 0, I need to subtract 10x and subtract 10x. So then my equation would be x squared. Remember, we always write it in standard form, so the 10x has to go after the x squared. So minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can, and since it's quadratic, you can solve by completing the square, you can solve by factoring, you can solve by, what else? Completing the square, factoring, quadratic formula, graphing it. I'm just going to do the quadratic formula because it works every time. So opposite of b, so 10 plus or minus the square root of b squared. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Okay, again, I always type what's in under the square root first. So I would do the square root, parentheses, negative 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 24. And that is 2. So it would be 10 plus 2 divided by 2. And I'm just doing, remember you have to do 10 plus 2, and then you also have to do 10 minus 2 divided by 2. Okay, 10 plus 2 is 12 divided by 2. 10 minus 2 is 8 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my two solutions are 6 and 4. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check them just to show you. So I'm going to plug these numbers back into that original equation, which is x over 2 plus 12 over x. So these are my x's. I'm just putting parentheses so you can see where I'm putting them. And then equals 5. Okay. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 5 equals 5. Okay, I'm going to do it for this one. 4 divided by 2 plus 12 divided by 4 equals 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2, plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So both of those are correct solutions. All right, the next one we're going to do 6 divided by x minus 1 plus 2x divided by x minus 2 equals 5. Okay, again, first step, you need to multiply across the bottom. So I'm going to multiply x minus 1 times x minus 2, and then cross 6 times x minus 2 and 2x times x minus 1. Six times x would be 6x. 6 times negative 2 would be negative 12. Put a plus sign between them. 2x times x would be 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 would be negative 2x. Okay, I'm going to combine let me go ahead and multiply this out as well. X times x would be x squared. X times negative 2 would be negative 2x. Negative 1 times x would be negative 1x. Negative 1 times negative 2, negative times a negative is a positive 2. Okay, the next step you're going to see me do is simplify or combine like terms. So we have 6x and negative 2x. 6 minus 2 is 4x. I'm going to write it in standard form. So I'm going to put 2x squared first. Then 6 minus 2 is 4, and that's a positive 4. And then minus 12. Divided by, I'm going to combine these two. So x squared. And then we have minus 2x minus 1x. So negative 2 minus 1 would be negative 3x plus 2. And then it's all set equal to 5. Okay. Put this over 1, cross multiply. So 1 times all of that would be 2x squared plus 4x minus 12. Bring down your equal sign. And then 5 times, let me move all this over, x squared minus 3x plus 2. Distribute, so 5x squared. 5 times negative 3x would be negative 15x. And 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, again, this is quadratic, and you know it's quadratic because there's a squared term. So what you need to do first is get everything on the same side, get it all set equal to 0. Since this is a 5x squared and it's larger, I'm going to move the 2. So I'm going to move everything to that side. So 5x squared minus 2x squared, that would be 3x squared. Remove the 4x. Negative 15 minus 4x would be negative 19x. Add the 12, add the 12. 10 plus 12 is 22. Equals 0. Okay. This one I'm going to go ahead and just graph. Use the graph feature. You could do the quadratic formula again, but I'm going to remind you that your calculator will find them. So hit graph. If you notice, I'm zoomed out a little. I'm going to hit zoom 6 and just go back to the normal and see if you can even see it. Yep, you can. So remember, you're trying to find the zeros, so second trace, go to 0. Notice it says left bound, so I need to be to the left of it. Then it says right bound, move to the right, and then enter. So the first 0 is at 1.53. because if you notice 5, 2, 5, that 5 makes a 2 round to a 3. And then let's do the other one. So second trace again, go to 0, left bound, right bound, enter. So the other one is at 4.81. So those are our solutions on that one. Okay, that is solving. So notice it is harder because you end up multiplying x's times x's, so you end up getting squareds, and then you have to use the quadratic formula or your calculator or whatever to find the zeros or the solutions to a quadratic.